Alright guys, so before I start this deck profile, I just want to thank you guys for showing so much support in that Qliphort deck profile video I made yesterday. You guys really seem to like that idea of Swords at Dawn, and your guys' input was also appreciated. I did not expect that video to get as big as it did overnight. So definitely a big thanks to you guys. Now onto this deck profile. I don't like playing tier 1 decks. That Qliphort deck profile yesterday was the first tier 1 deck that I played since Spellbook, when Spellbook of Judgment was at 3, so that was a long ass time. Now, for this profile, I'm playing Chainbeat. I'll explain more of what Chainbeat does as I go through the deck profile, because it's kind of difficult to understand without actually looking at the cards. So the main monsters in this deck, 3 copies of Wind Up Rabbit, and 3 copies of Evil Swarm Thunderbird. These monsters have a unique ability in which they can banish themselves until the next standby phase. I mean, the next standby phase, yours or your opponent's, or your standby phase. So what this means is this it's really hard to get these monsters off the field. Like if your opponent activates Mirror Force, I can activate their effects and get them and dodge them out of the way so that they'll come back next turn. Basically, the whole point of this deck is to trade 1-for-1s and make your opponent go minus to the point where they run out of resources, and then I can just overwhelm them with these hard to get rid of monsters. So these are the 2 stars of the deck. Wind Up Rabbit can activate at any time because it can activate Banish itself. Evil Swarm Thunderbird has to wait for something to activate before it, and then it can banish itself. Also, you can only control 1 of these. No, that's false. You can only activate this once per turn, so it's not smart to have more than 1 out at the same time, whereas you can just go all out on this. The next cards, this is sort of anti-meta deck, so I felt it was appropriate to add Banisher of the Radiance, so 2 copies of Banisher of the Radiance, and 1 copy of Thunder King Ryo. The banishing effect really helps. When Nekroz activates their ritual spells, they can't get them back because they're going to be banished. They can't banish from the graveyard if it's not in the graveyard. Firefist Bear searches out Tanky, which allows you to search out the rabbit. Also is a really good bait for back row. I'd rather Bear get hit with the Mirror Force than the Wind Up Rabbit. And then Grandma gets rid of these big walls that I can't get past, like Dante, Colossalos in defense mode, any other big beaters, Petalfin. Well, Petalfin can tag out, but that's beside the point. But it can get rid of it. And that's all the monsters. There's only 11 monsters if I count correctly. Yeah, 11 monsters. For the spell cards, 3 Pot of Duality for consistency. And then 3 copies of the most complicated card in the game, Black Garden. So what Black Garden does is, if a monster is normal or special summoned, that monster gets cut in half, and the opponent of the player who summoned that monster gets a Rose token with 800 attack points. So it has a lot of synergy with the dodgers that I showed, Wind Up Rabbit, Evil Storm Thunderbird, because what happens is when you banish Wind Up Rabbit and Evil Storm Thunderbird, they don't get special summoned back to the field. They simply get returned. And what that means is they come back at their full attack points. So while all your opponent's monsters are half, mine are back at full power. 1400 for Rabbit, 1950 with Thunderbird. And those monsters are even harder to get rid of. Plus, this provides a lot of disruption against Burning Abyss. Normally, when I go first against Burning Abyss, I'll play the Black Garden first and then summon a monster so that my opponent gets a token, and every Burning Abyss monster that they play will automatically be destroyed. So that's also some disruption. So I want to see Black Garden as often as possible, so here's a terraforming. Next up, 2 Tanky. I don't want to run 3 because it can get cloggy. I only run 4 targets. Then Enemy Controller. One of the biggest weaknesses about this deck is getting over big defenders. Black Garden doesn't have defense. It only has attack. So let's say Burning Abyss wants to sit behind a Dante. I could play Enemy Controller, put in attack mode, and run it over. Or same thing with Colossalos or Dejin Release or Rituals or any big butt that wants to stand in my way. So this takes care of that. And then 2 Dark Hole and 1 Raigeki. The reason I play this is it has so much synergy with the Dodgers again. I can nuke the board while banishing my Rabbit and my Thunderbird and getting them out of harm's way, and then they'll come back. So basically, my opponent is the only one that goes neg, and I keep all my monsters. And then the one is Book of Moon and Dimensional Fissure. Now for the traps, pretty heavy trap lineup. Breakthrough Skill. The reason I play Breakthrough Skill instead of Phoenix Chain is in this deck I don't like to have a cloggy back row, so that's why I play the Breakthrough Skill. And this deals with Trishula. I don't run Mind Crush in this deck, or I don't run any like anti-Nekroz cards, because this already has a good matchup. I only care about 1 card in their entire deck, and that's Trishula. They can search all they want with Bionic. They can search with Preparation of Rites. That's at 1 now. They can search with anything. I can care less. If anything, I should just be playing Shared Rise and just plus off of that. But I don't care. The only card I care about in their entire deck is Trishula. And maybe Colossalis or Dijon Release or Rituals in case I can't run it over. But that's a minor inconvenience. Trishula is the main problem, and this deals with it rather effectively. 2 copies of Compulsory Escape Device. For those who know how Chain Beat works, this has really good synergy with the Dodgers in the deck. The only problem is if you have cards like Grand Mole on your side of the field next to it that can't dodge. I'm actually considering taking this out. Basically, the play is if you have Dodgers on your field and only Dodgers, you play that, and then you chain your Dodgers to get them out of the way. So only your opponent loses monsters from their field. So it's good removal. 2 copies of Mirror Force, because, you know, Mirror Force is Mirror Force. It's good. 2 copies of the crappy Noble Knight Platinum Deep Prison. Torrential, the real MVP. If Torrential was at 3, I would be playing 3 Torrential. Macro Cosmos, for the same reason that I run Banisher and Dimensional Fissure. This is nasty. Nasty card if I open with it. It's a shame that Vanities is going to 1. Speaking of Vanities, let's show the one-ofs. The Vanities, Solemn Warning, Bottomless Trap Hole, and Compulsory Evacuation Device. One thing about Bottomless Trap Hole, Black Garden activates when a monster is summoned. It doesn't cut it in half immediately. Black Garden will go as Chain Link 1 all the time. So you can chain Bottomless Trap Hole and banish that monster if it's over 1500 before Black Garden cuts it in half. Some people don't know this. Some people automatically exclude Bottomless because they think that the monster will already be half. No, it starts to Chain Link. So that's the main deck. That's 41 cards. And then the extra deck. 1 Naturia Beast, because I side deck Emergency Teleports. Because Wind Up Rabbit is an Earth monster that's level 3. And so is Grand Mole. So I would have a level 2 Earth Psychic Tuner next to it. Exiton Knight. Gaga Cowboy, Abyss Dweller, Ragna, 80 Rhapsody, Castell, Heartland Draco. Diamond Direwolf has good synergy with the Wind-Up Rabbit as well. It could target the Wind-Up Rabbit and then you could dodge it out of the way and only your opponent will destroy a card. 101 Mechwhip Engineer for stall. That's for stall. I mean, the extra deck, you barely go into your extra deck. The only ones that you would really go into would be Naturia Beast after game 1. Probably Diamond Direwolf with Destruction, and then the finishers, the rank 3 Heartland Draco, and then the Heartland Draco. Probably this against Burning Abyss to banish their cards, or even Nekroz. The main one would probably be Cowboy, but you don't really go into your extra deck much, because you rather keep those Dodgers on the field and use them as Exceed material. And that's the deck. Let me know what you guys think, and thanks for watching.